Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to Spiritual Split Splash. This is episode 9, and I'm Karen Lynn Dixon. And Spiritual Splash is all about hopeful and heartfelt messages about well-being. I like to invite people on here who are radiant human beings living a true, authentic path in spirituality. We're going to be talking about all kinds of cool things with Tanuj Soodan. And Tanuj is an expert in decoding the Matrix. He is the founder of The Matrix Unveiled. That is his company. He has a website by that name, a YouTube channel. He does one-to-one coaching to help people in their spiritual awakening. So he's a metaphysical and spiritual coach as well. He's a teacher. And he's surprisingly young. He's still in university studying his undergraduate in psychology, and gifted with an innate wisdom and intuition. And I'm really sure you're going to enjoy a lot of what he has to share. Tanuj is part of a group that I'm in. It's on Facebook. It's like a group for spiritual entrepreneurs, and he is making some incredible content. Yes, hello, welcome.
Hello, Karen. How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
Doing awesome. Doing really good.
Oh, it's so good. I'm really glad we were able to make this happen. I know you're so busy. I was, presenting you, talking about all the things you do, and you're also a student. Like you're still, you're studying your undergraduate. You're amazing. You're balancing so many things, and I really appreciate your making time to share with us just some of this incredible knowledge that you're accessing. And I use that word purposefully because you're really connecting to something very, very special. Tell us about yourself.
For sure. So, for everybody that's listening, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Karen, for having me on your platform. My name is Tanuj, and I'm 21 years old. I live in Maryland, USA. I've been on the spiritual path for a while, since I was a young child, and I fell off of it a few times, and then it was always in the background. And I became aware of certain metaphysical abilities that I had, which is called telekinesis, psychokinesis, which is the ability to move objects with your mind, and many other abilities as well, such as astral projection, seeing entities and different beings. Just being very tapped in multidimensionally since I've been a child. And so I started to train some of those skills, and I honed them when I was in my later teenage years. And I basically was, instructed by the universe to share this knowledge with people because we need to usher in a new age of consciousness, and humanity needs to really remember who they are, that we are these divine light beings, and that we have access to reprogramming our reality and creating our reality how we see fit. We are, the creators of our reality, and mastering energy is what this earth reality is for. It is to really honing your skills and to become a master at working with energy, and then ultimately creating the life that you want. So that's basically what my channel and all of my stuff is about. It's about, raising your consciousness, learning to become a creator, learning to master energy, learning to master the different dynamics of energy, whether that be relationships, whether that be finance, whether that be friendships, family, all of that stuff. It's all energy mastery. And so that's basically what I teach people as a life coach, as a spiritual life coach.
And the energy that we're speaking about, of course, is the universal consciousness, right? Our own connection to the greater, higher self, God, however we want to call it. Okay.
Exactly.
And you help people navigate through that awakening process.
I help people navigate through the awakening process and actually deeply connect to this grand intelligence. We have this ego that thinks it's itself and that it's running the show here, and what I've been shown so many times repeatedly is that my ego has nothing to do with any of this. Our egos have nothing to do with any of this, especially when we're on this path where we're sharing this knowledge and yourself. This is a grand intelligence that's moving through us. There's no like when people come to me and they're like, wow, you're so amazing, I'm like, it's not me, It's the divine. It's so much beyond our little human brains.
Well, also you're letting it through. Maybe they're just admiring that you're actually letting it go through you. You talk a lot about life purpose and really connecting to that energy. Would you talk a little bit about why it's so important that we connect to our purpose in terms of energy flow?
Yes, that's a good question. And I like the way you worded that. So, our purpose, it's like, okay, so everything in nature has a purpose, okay? The bees are pollinating the flowers
Mhm.
every single day. And if they don't pollinate the flowers, then certain flowers don't grow. And then if those certain flowers don't grow, animals aren't able to eat those fruits and survive. And then certain people aren't able to eat those animals, whatever it is. There is a cyclical energy to this.
Mhm.
So divine purpose, just like the sun is a conscious being. It
Mhm.
raises every single morning and it sets. It's its divine purpose, okay? The earth is another conscious being. She is literally our home. Every single thing in this universe has divine purpose. It has a divine spark behind it and has a specific reason. Now, who are you as an ego
Mhm.
to fight that divine purpose? That would be a very foolish thing. You would cause a lot of suffering and pain for yourself and for everyone around you if you don't go with that divine purpose. It's so reassuring to know that this is something that is being orchestrated beyond you, and you're letting it go through you. All you're doing is you're becoming a cleaner vessel for
Mhm.
this consciousness, and you can surrender and know that everything is going to be okay. So this is the easiest path. It's the hardest path because everyone looks at you like you're crazy or you're strange, but actually it's the easiest because everything gets into alignment very, very effortlessly, and you just have to mainly surrender and open yourself up to receiving instead of constantly trying to struggle and fight. It's like going against the tide of an ocean instead of just, you're trying to swim against the tide. Turn around, go the opposite direction, let the tide carry you, and you'll go to the right place. That's what
Positively.
it's like to be on a spiritual path.
Agree 100%. However, meeting people now who are asking me, what if I don't know? They think they know. They don't know for sure. And it's scary because they have certain agreements and investments in their life they have to protect. They might be with certain responsibilities. It's very hard to say, oh, I'm just supposed to follow my passion. So
Right,
how do you
right.
navigate that?
I think there's a difference between passion and purpose. You can be passionate about making music or making art, but it's not necessarily your purpose. Your purpose is, what are you called to do? What is that governing intelligence, that universal intelligence telling you to do? And if you don't know, it's because you are blocking it with your own ego. So you need to sit with yourself, go into nature, go sit next to a tree. I spent probably 2 years basically just sitting with the trees every day for like 5 hours.
I like that too.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. And they will guide you because they're connected to this consciousness as well. They will guide you and tell you what to do and how to do it and what steps to take. So they would give me ideas on videos. They gave me the name of my channel, The Matrix Unveiled. It was given to me by the trees. So if you sit with nature, which is the divine feminine in actualization in physical reality, she will guide you, the mother consciousness will guide you to your purpose. So you will have these reoccurring thoughts or nudges or urges. You have that, once you feel that little bit of spark, you're like, oh, this is something that's passionate. Like when I have life coaching calls, and we talk about something, their voice changes. As soon as we hit their passion, their voice changes. It lights up.
Amazing.
That's how I know we found it. And then all it is just following through that and being consistent and digging deeper. And as you do it, it's like this, you're like mining for gold. At first, you don't know if there's gold down there. But then once you hit a one ore, you realize, oh my God, I hit the jackpot. There's all this gold down here. That's your life purpose.
It's interesting. I like the way you define the difference between the purpose and the passion. Is purpose vocation? How you make your living, how you make money, how you let abundance flow to you.
In a world that would make sense, yes, your purpose is supposed to be tied with your abundance. So if you're putting a certain amount of energy out into the world, it's going to manifest back to you in the form of financial abundance. But if you're not doing your purpose and you're grinding in a job that you're not happy with, then you cause a lot of suffering and resentment and resistance to a lot of natural abundance. So everybody deserves abundance. And in fact, in a world where we were all living abundantly, we wouldn't even need money because things would be exchanged evenly. I think, yes, if you have your divine purpose at this point in our reality with the way the economic system is set up, when you get in your divine purpose, you will start to attract financial abundance. And it doesn't happen overnight, it doesn't happen in a month. It takes a little bit of time. But if you're consistent, you will eventually hit that jackpot of gold.
I agree. And the purpose also in terms of little purposes too, like when people have even beyond, okay, so you have your living, how you're, whatever you're doing, but it could be even parenting or caretaking or relationship. And those aspects intrigue me as well, because there's other layers to it. Like we never know that day what our words or our smile might have done to affect somebody. And that could have a purpose too, which is really beautiful.
Right. There's a word that's used in Hinduism. It's called dharma, which is your divine purpose. So one thing that I've started to learn is, and this is something that I'm learning consistently, is never expect that financial abundance to come just because you're on your purpose. Okay. So you do your purpose selflessly. This is the divine masculine energy. You simply do it. So when you're really tapped into that, I noticed something. When I was first starting off, I was really tapped into it, and I was doing it just because it was like there were so many downloads going through my mind. I had to put it out somewhere. And then as soon as I started making more money, I was like, oh, so this is a money thing. So let me see how much I can increase my money. And then it kind of was like resisting. And I was like, what's going on here? And then I backed off from the money and I started focusing more on the divine purpose. And then the money started coming in even more. And so I was like, I understand. It's all about just living in that authentic purpose. Forget the money, because money is just a reflection. And if you chase the money, you're chasing emptiness.
Right. And it will elude you on some level.
It will elude you. And it's very frustrating.
Yeah. No, I've heard a lot of people say that on all kinds of quantitative levels, like where you're quantitating success based on number of followers or amount of popularity or those external things. Like when you're so focused on that, that's when you're like messing up the algorithm, the universal algorithm. It's like, don't worry about it. It takes care of itself. You made a video that reminded me sort of the Matrix when you were saying that when you go to a job and you're there and you don't like it, or you're in a low vibration, that you're actually giving energy into something else. But it's when you're in your mission that you're using your energy for yourself. And I believe that, but I hadn't heard it described that way. So I'd love if you share that, because it was a different viewpoint, at least for me, and I enjoyed it.
So something that's a little bit different is that I can see a lot of different stuff behind the veil. So I can see a lot of stuff in the Matrix that many people, when you take a psychedelic, you can see a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know if you've ever experimented with psychedelics.
Yeah.
So if you reach a certain level of consciousness, you can start to see a lot of that stuff sober and naturally with your own consciousness and your own brain. So when I see people that are disaligned, I see a lot of energy harvesting going on, meaning that there are entities and there is a specific consciousness that basically uses human souls and harvests their energy. And this has been going on for thousands of years. People call it the archons, but the name is irrelevant to me. And so the energy is harvested through like these tubes or through these webs. And when you're putting off that disharmonious vibration, you're releasing it off of your energy field, your aura. And so it's coming out of you, and you're releasing all this negative energy, and they're basically pumping and squeezing you to see how much negative energy can they make you release each day to keep that system fueled. So you're caught in this loop where your negative energy is fueling this negative system, and then this negative system is fueling your more frustration. And it's a constant cycle of unhappiness. And so when you're in alignment, there's a completely different thing. When you're in alignment, your energy centers are open, your aura is open, you're super free. And what happens is you have this gravity about you where because you have so much alignment, so much energy going through you, the universe naturally and people naturally want to talk to you. Everyone wants to talk to you. Everyone wants to be your friend because you're in that vibration of abundance. So everybody likes you. That's what I've found.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because that's where you're not wrestling with the conflict. In that negativity, it's almost like when I don't know why this came to me, but it's like, when you eat a potato chip and you just can't stop. You just keep eating more. It's like that's what I sort of feel like when I'm in those negativity loops. It's like it's just feeding you, and it's like no satisfaction. but it's just going nowhere, and it's just the same. And a lot of people get used to it. You think that's who you are.
It comes down to a worthiness issue,
Yep.
not feeling worthy to live your life purpose. That's a big one. That's one I went through.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've gone through as well.
Yep.
You know, not having people believe in you, not really sure where you're going. There's so many obstacles, and all of those obstacles are your shadow. All of those obstacles are the unconscious parts of your mind that are unhealed. And so when you get on your life purpose, there's two things that will trigger your spiritual awakening more than anything: your life purpose and relationships. Those two will pull all the shit under your minds up for examination.
For sure. Well said. Well said. Yes.
Thank you.
Very good teachers. Both of those, the best teachers. In that terms of the matrix, you had mentioned too, in your ability, I think you were talking about just understanding how the dynamics are. So given that you have a glimpse of that or an understanding, how can just people who aren't really, maybe they don't care, just living their life, but want to know how to make their life better, using some of those principles to apply? So
the number one key I would say is to get into nature every single day and to connect to the energy fields and feel the energy of nature and go there for healing and for restoration of your energy and for peace of mind. Every single day, practice sun gazing, okay, where you observe the sun at certain hours. Meditate next to the trees. All of this will improve your quality of life. It'll improve your energy. And as you improve your energy, you improve your life. The people, the relationships, the job opportunities. And then once you've done more inner work, because first you have to do a lot of inner work. Once you do enough inner work, you start to get a sense for your passion. You start to get a sense for your purpose. And sometimes your purpose and your passion can be the same thing. And that's usually a case. But as I said, you can have multiple passions and you really only have one purpose or one main objective. That will manifest in various avenues. So it's like you find this energy that is like guiding you through your life, and like most of us, we ignore that energy. But like when you get in alignment and you surrender with it, it will guide you through everything that you need to do.
It does guide you. Yeah, it wants to be in charge. Like I found that when I don't listen to it, I'm getting, I'm getting punished. Like super, like I feel like, whoa, the mistake. It just feels like, whoa, okay, not going there because it wants to lead. So I have to just let it move through me.
It'll build momentum. So it will build momentum like crazy to the point where, the reason why I'm so busy, what you mentioned, is because it's built so much momentum that it will have all of this stuff scheduled. And like,
that's great.
I'll find my week is empty on one day, and then the next day the universe will give all these assignments like, okay, Instagram with this person, call with this person, video here, just like all of this, it'll divvy out the energy. And I'm like, I didn't think of any of this. Like, yeah, sure, my brain is doing it and my body is speaking the words, but all of this was orchestrated beyond me.
So wonderful. It's so wonderful. You're so lucky that you're so young and you're learning this at your age. It's so beautiful. And thanks again for sharing it, because it's like really necessary. And I think it's something that everyone at some point has probably had a experience with. Like I know, when I talk to people and they are not really into this stuff, but then I'll talk about it. Like, yeah, I kind of had an experience like that where, everything just got still and I was frozen in that time and I felt connected. And it's just getting used to that state, because when we're in that a lot, that's when we can really be moved to things. And I agree with nature. Nature, wow, amazing. What if you live in a city? What's nature? Can you do that in a little park?
During the time I was spending the most time in nature, I was actually living in a city. I was living in Philadelphia.
Great.
And there's a lot of low, dense vibrations there, and it was driving me nuts because I was very sensitive. So I would go and sit next to different trees and put my back on them, give them hugs at nighttime, and meditate with them. And all you need is one tree. All you need is one piece of grass to really connect to the energy, and you can do a lot with that.
It's very accessible. So I have to ask you, because you have a bunch of videos now, especially you just opened up your account on TikTok. I saw that, and then you put them on Facebook. Psychokinesis. That is fascinating. That is a fascinating practice. So I looked it up. It was like ability to move objects by mental effort alone, like as a phenomena. So please tell us about that, because I encourage everyone just to check out these videos.
Psychokinesis is the ability to project your mental thought into reality and to have it affect It's the ability to move objects with your mind. I predominantly work with the elements of nature,
Right.
wind, water, fire, earth, and then the solar and the atmokinesis, which is like the storm energies and energies of the atmosphere. Basically, you can use your energy, which is coming off of your body, which is produced, this is your soul, to connect to this universal soul, that universal consciousness, and then work with the energy. You can literally build your reality. Like, we talk about building a reality and manifesting something. I'm talking about manifesting, okay, manifest wind right now, manifest rain right now, manifest a storm right now. Build that right now. If you
like
really
shamanic.
are, yes, it is shamanic. There are shamanic origins to it. So it's a whole practice, and there's so many levels to it. So, you know, you could also learn to just move a couple of blades of grass, or you could bring in an entire hurricane. And depending on your level of expertise, it takes a lot of years to get good, but the practice is basically to hone your spiritual ability of connecting with the energy, number one, and sharpening your sword. So your consciousness is like, you know, if it's untrained, it's very broad, it doesn't have any focus. But if you learn to focus it in one aspect, just like when you're manifesting something, you can direct that energy into one location and learn how to manifest it. So that is exactly what psychokinesis teaches you. Okay, let's see if you can train your thoughts to connect to your energy field, to connect to your hands, to then manifest wind by connecting into the energy field of the wind and having that mind-body neural connection. So when I was talking about seeing the matrix, the reason why I can see a lot more of the matrix than most people is because my brain is upgraded from all of that training. So Buddhist monks as well, you know, when you do a lot of meditation, it upgrades your brain. You have new neural pathways, and you can see and experience more.
When you're at that pond, you're at that lake, right? So you were like moving your hand, and the water was literally moving its way, and you're going like zzz, you were making a sound. What does that mean?
So I was vibrating, like, you know how people chant and say like Om and stuff?
Yeah.
Basically, my version of that is a vibration, and I'm sending the vibration to activate more energy in my body, and then also magnetize the particles of the wind and of the water. And then I'm moving my hand like this because I'm literally creating a waveform and I'm replicating it. I want the water to replicate what I'm doing, so it matches. As soon as I'm connected, as soon as I plug my frequency into the matrix, it actualizes exactly what I want. That's instant manifestation.
It was fascinating. Also with the pinwheel, you were like, I was like, whoa.
Yes. Yes.
It's really cool. I mean, you know what I got most of it? Of course I love it. I think it's awesome. But what I really appreciate about it is that it really empowers people, because it's like you said, an instant manifestation that you can see the actual, because seeing for a lot of people is believing, and you're like, wow, there is a connection. I know if I just think something really strongly and focus enough, I can make that a reality.
Yes. I teach the upper level clients, the ones that are ready. So I right now, there's only about one person that I'm teaching this knowledge to, and I've had more. The rest we're just working on basics, because this is a higher level of consciousness, and you got to be ready. You got to have done a lot of work on yourself to get there. I do teach this to my clients privately, yes.
I want to just bring attention at this time just to your socials.
I am on everything at The Matrix Unveiled, YouTube, The Matrix Unveiled, thematrixunveiled.com, TikTok. Last night, I literally put that profile up. Just Spirit was nudging me, honestly. It literally was. It was like, hey, go on TikTok. You're going to grow your following really quickly. And it manifested very quickly. It was crazy.
Into your courses. So you were talking most recently about some new courses. You were looking like to what people want to hear about. You're always seeing on the cutting edge of what is going on now, and a lot of people talking always about energies. What's your newest thing? What's your newest course that you're working on?
So the newest course that I just released last week is called the Spiritual Awakening Mastery Course, and this is I wouldn't say beginner level, but it's for someone that's going through their spiritual awakening and is having a hard time dealing with energy, dealing with sensitivity, dealing with negative emotions, dealing with energy vampires, learning how to really heal your soul and connect back to yourself, and to just become, be able to navigate the spiritual awakening process without getting your ass handed to you, basically, which many of us have experienced very traumatizing, awakenings. So I figured I could create something really quickly, not quickly in the sense that I rushed through it, but I could create something that would basically help someone navigate from A to B. Okay, now they have all the information. Here's how to deal with energy vampires. Here's how to deal with negative people. Here's how to deal with toxic energy. Here's how to, get all of that done so that way you...
Energy vampire. Explain that.
Energy vampires. There's so many... What's up, Rashawn? My brother's here.
Oh,
my friend.
You got a lot of people on your camp. I came here looking for knowledge. I'm learning. I'm here to learn. It's awesome. And you can learn from this. Can learn from this one over here. He knows a lot. Okay.
So energy vampires. Energy vampires are people that, well, number one, they'll try to always put you in a negative state of mood. There's so many different kinds of energy vampires. Like, you could have someone that always is seeking attention. So, everything's going good, and then they just start flipping out for no reason because they want attention. They want recognition. Whatever it is. You can have people that are always passive aggressive. This is a big one. So you'll say something, and then they'll be like, well, what about that? And they're trying to undermine you slightly. You got to be really careful with that, because it's the same thing with when we were talking about the job and you're getting your energy harvested. If you're engaging with an energy vampire, you got to realize that your energy is being harvested. It's being harvested. It's being wasted. And so Facebook, I mean, not to demonize a platform, but I see a lot of people on Facebook, they're arguing about the mask, they're arguing about politics, they're arguing about all this stuff. You got to realize when you're arguing and when you're fighting, your energy is getting harvested. You're being vampired. So
when you're triggered, basically when you're triggered.
When you're triggered, you get into that emotional state, the energy releases off your aura, and you lose it. It's gone. Now, is that such a big deal when you're like a divine light being? Not really, because you know how to replenish, but you should also be careful. Don't feed people your energy. That's stupid.
Okay, we have a comment here. Once you're happy, society will hate it and attack. We were meant to stand out from the crowd. So what are your feelings about that? There's a lot of thought about that too. Like when we all awaken, and if everyone's happy and harmonious, what will happen to structure of society?
When you first awaken, moving through that awakening process is difficult. But then after you start sharing your purpose and you start, vibrating higher, and you're more into alignment, and you've kind of integrated the awakening process, then you're this beacon. And you're this beacon where information is going through you all the time. Other souls are looking to you, kind of the position that we're in, where other souls are looking to us for reassurance, for guidance, for knowledge, for help, for assistance. And a lot of people that have really unhealed shadows, really, really traumatized consciousnesses, they're going to see your light, and they're going to get really angry. They're going to get hateful. They're going to get negative. So I've experienced that. Ultimately, I know that they're suffering within themselves, so I only really empathize, and I feel bad for them. And I don't even feel bad. I feel love for them. I feel compassion for them. And ultimately, the more haters that you got, the more you're actually doing good, because people are paying attention to you.
Exactly. It just reminds me, of the story. I don't know how you're familiar with the Buddha, but when the Buddha was enlightened and he sat under the Bodhi tree, there was Mara came to visit, and every evil came to tempt him and go against him. And he literally put his hand on the earth and said, "You're my testament as to my, who I am." And then he was enlightened. And it's like, you're almost expecting it. I'm like, oh, there's Mara. Mara's flowing through, because it goes in so many forms that people will use it as the devil or whatever the antithesis is. Of course, we don't want to deal with that, but I like that you are embracing it, because you have a mission, and not going to get stopped by that.
I love that example. That was beautiful. I felt a little tingle go through me as you were talking about that. And that's what I was talking about with the, with the vampirism. that is the same energy. So that energy, that negative, basically self-sabotaging energy, that's what it is. You got to look at it like it's spiritual infancy, which is what it is.
Sure.
It's unconsciousness. And so when Buddha says the earth is my testament, and he turned, the attacks to flowers, he transmuted all the energy. And that's what we got to do when we are being attacked. Transmute. And when something does trigger you, which it will, that's just space for more healing, which we're all doing at all times.
Yeah, that's the door. That's the door to the healing. Okay, we have to see here. Social media is also an energy portal for others. Everything we engage in is a flow of energy towards that thing we focus on. How do you, when, I guess, in the context of your clients, explaining that what we focus on does manifest, it is reality?
With manifestation, we kind of go through and we examine some of the cycles in their life. So this is powerful. So if they had a really neglectful mom or dad or whatever it was, abandonment, negativity, whatever it is, we look and see, how did that manifest in your life to this day? And usually they'll be with this, if they're dating someone, they'll be with a toxic partner, and I'll say, well, was your mom or dad toxic? Did they have these same traits? And we can see a pattern. And then that's proof right there. Like, hey, you manifested this relationship, you manifested this friendship, you manifested this job. Because it all comes down to those core beliefs and core values and core energies that you contain within yourself.
And often it was explained to me in some context that we'll keep manifesting it, like, unless we actually get to the core of it. So when people say, oh, I'll just go get a new relationship, or I'll just go get a new job, if you haven't energetically healed it or resolved it, it's going to pop up, in some other way.
That's very true.
Patterns are key.
Yeah, you'll keep manifesting the same lesson, and the universe will make it louder and louder and louder each time. So the first time it's kind of whispering. By the third time, it's screaming in your ear.
Yes. And that's when it's most painful. That's when it's like, when it makes it much harder.
Yes.
Hopefully people find remedy, or we all do. I mean, for myself included, it's like when change needs to happen, you find it a little bit earlier on, so it doesn't have to scream in your ear, like destroy your world.
There's a powerful quote I read. I don't remember exactly who it's by, but it says, when there's pain in your life, that means that's the universe's way of telling you that you're not going the right way. You're going the wrong direction. So anytime you feel pain, it's the wrong direction. Move away from the pain. First, you have to embrace the pain, realize why it's there, and then move the opposite way. If you're attracting an avoidant partner, figure out why, and that's causing you pain. It's because you have certain blockages within yourself that are causing you to attract that.
Indeed. And it's so cool, because I'm reminding now as you're talking, you're studying psychology, right?
Right,
so are you finding so many things like overlapping between like the actual science and then what you're intuitively being given?
Yeah, it's almost comical, because sometimes I'll have learned something in a class, and then that very next day I'll have a client and we'll be talking about that same subject. So,
that's so cool.
It's like the universe is like, I got you, I'm preparing you in your intuition and in school at the same time. So you're always learning.
Fantastic.
You're always doing your divine mission, buddy.
Fantastic. Oh, that's so great. That's so great. I also just want to touch upon, because you mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast about your connecting with outer worldly or other energies and beings. Can you talk a little bit about that and what those experiences are like?
It's surreal to see other dimensional beings around you. When I was 18 years old, this was when I started seeing them again. I saw them when I was younger, but I was kind of ignoring it, purposely, suppressing it in my mind. But when I was 18 years old and I had my Kundalini awakening, I first started seeing a lot of different beings. So I saw reptilians, quote unquote. I saw just different beings in the space, in the dimension.
Wow.
And I would meditate. Yeah. And they would see me too, and they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and it's like, you're only a hair of a dimension away, buddy. And so it's a little frightening. It's very frightening at first, and you see like, oh wow, there's all of these beings watching us at all times. They're really just aware of us, and we're not aware of them at all, and that's crazy.
It's so funny you say watching, because it does feel like a presence. Like I had that when I was I did a 20-day meditation last year, and I was in this dark cell for hours at a time. And I actually had like a crazy experience where these devas were like around the Dhamma hall, and I felt their eyes. I felt presence looking at me, and I felt the eyes, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, God? is that God? But, you know, in terms of interaction and things like that, there's so many different stories. I know, of course, people have all different, it's very personal. Like I find these connection things extremely personal. But I find that ultimately that it all goes to one root, that it really is a benevolent, kind, very neutral energy that just wants us to connect and choose. And I was speaking yesterday in this Splash with Bradley Bell about just preferences. Like he used just under the context of preferences, like we have to know what we want, and then it's there. It's just there for us. It's not against us.
Absolutely. That is exactly how the universe and the matrix manifests. And the eyes, man, they're crazy because so when you meditate and if you see the eyes, that's how you know you're releasing enough DMT to pierce the veil. And so the eyes, what they'll do is they'll follow you. So you look over here, they're right there. You look over here, they're right there. You look over here, they're right there. And it's the universe's way and the universal intelligences that are basically like monitoring. Like this is like a video game, so they have to like have you know, beings that are monitoring it backstage and observing and like, you know, studying basically like all of the energy fluctuations. Like I talk about the matrix and how it fluctuates. So they're monitoring every single fluctuation. You could call them the spirit guides, you could call them whatever you want to use, whatever term. They're always monitoring. So when they see a human start breaching it, they come investigate, they come look. And what I've been shown is like it's really just a web or a network. So it's like we are disconnected from that internet, which is the universal consciousness of mind. And you know, we get glimpses, but we got to be more connected, basically.
And it'll be so cool. Like when, you know, I was reading something that actually said that the internet and all of our, you know, the whole web is actually replica of what we do. Like we have the internet. Like, we can communicate and use that. We don't need the internet. Like we can go look up something, and you talk about that. You're like, I'll be researching a topic, but it's more like my inner research. And I was listening to what you said, and it really made sense because if you can tap into it, it's all there.
There is this function, and I guess you could say it's a function, but it's like universal telepathy. So if you think about a topic, and then you let go of the topic, listen for the answer, because you broadcasted the question into the Akashic records, to the ether. The universe will literally feed you back the answer into your consciousness stream if you're aware of it. And so I would find myself having conversations with myself, but it wasn't me, per se, this ego. It was the divine intelligence that's speaking through my mind and giving me this very answer to the question. And I was like, who am I talking to here? Like, you're talking to you, God. And I'm like, oh my God.
Like, God, what is it?
It's crazy.
Cool. Why is it called the veil?
So veil meaning that it's on top, or it's concealed. So, you know, if the veil was completely open, then there's this reality, we wouldn't even be able to be humans. We wouldn't be able to do anything. It would be so boring. We would know everything. Veil is like, oh, you got to peek backstage. It's like, you know, you're watching a movie and then somebody shows you like, look, all the special effects are actually doing this. None of this is really happening.
This is super exciting because you have a lifetime in front of you to just develop all these things and to guide so many people toward greater knowledge and insights, and just increase your own abilities, like your own abilities to be able to tap in and lift that veil and uncover.
Yes, it's going to be very surreal when I'm like 80 years old and I would have reflected back and seen
how the world
where I was at when I was 21 and then when I'm at when I'm 80.
It's fascinating. Do you ever fear your safety? Being a truth seeker like this? A truth teller?
Not really.
Good.
Because number one, there's so much divine protection. It's like unreal. Like I've seen things like manifest, like that would have caused damage, and then they would like demanifest.
Yeah.
It's like a hologram to me. So I really don't fear the virus or the president, like, or whatever's going on. You know, it's just it's part of that harvesting energy matrix. That's all it is.
I agree with you completely. And a hologram is the best way to say it. It's like when I'm realizing that I'm resonating and someone's going through exact mirror of what I am, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a hologram with them. Like we're in the same exact hologram in that moment, whatever's happening. I think your work is amazing and so exciting that you're sharing it with everyone. Again, you can find all of your things on your website and your Instagram. Tanuj recommends the following 2 resources to just have some deeper exploration into your self transformation. One of them is the podcast of Jake Woodard. Jake Woodard is an author, speaker, a spiritual healer, and he talks about masculine and feminine energies. And Tanuj recommends these powerful conversations that he brings forth in these podcasts. He also recommends the book by Sagradu called Inner Engineering. Thank you again for just sharing all this wisdom with us. It's so interesting.
Thank you very much.
I opened up so many doors now for me to explore deeper in my knowledge seeking. So
that's very cool. Well, thank you very much for having me on. I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Oh my gosh. No, we'll do it again. We'll do it again sometime. And I want to thank all of you guys for being here with us. It's been wonderful to have this little journey with you and really experience it. I feel like it's really so insightful today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tanuj. And lots of love to you and love to all of you guys. I really appreciate your support and being here for yet another spiritual split splash. Okay, bye everyone. Bye.
Bye.